You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I'm your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan.
Hello. A
Hello.
much better connection this week without any sort of foo barring because I restarted my modem before starting the session. Much smoother experience. Thank you, NBN. The feature is with NBN, the weekly modem restarts now appear to be a thing. So congratulations, first class quality network that we have here in Australia now. Great.
Well, you know, everybody's stuff is falling apart. So that's just the way it is now.
It is. Yep. Yeah, I just need to tell the mouse that's powering our fiber to the node service to just run that little bit faster between these hours.
Right.
Treadmill, so he can generate the extra powers needed.
I always get frustrated. I'll be doesn't usually happen on my home Wi-Fi signal, but I'll be out and about at somebody else's Wi-Fi, and I'll be looking on my phone, and it'll just be taking forever to load a page, and you're like watching the little loading bar, and it's just like barely creeping, and you're like, what is going on? And you exit out, and you try reloading, and nothing happens, and then I'm like, okay, fine, and so I'll just do a full hard close down of the phone, and then restart it, and then everything works brilliantly, and it's just like one of those things where you're just like, what is going on? Why you know, I guess there's all that background gobbledygook.
Background stuff that's been happening for probably 4 or 5 weeks since you restarted your phone, and it's gone. No, finally can't do it anymore.
Because I'm pretty good about closing down all the apps regularly, so that I don't have 20 of them running at the same time, and some of it I got to blame on my phone being, what am I now, 3-4 years old? It's a 5S, I think 4 years old.
A 5S, okay. That's I think the 5S was the one behind the iPhone SE that they released to sort of have the small form factors in iPhone.
Let's see, we would do the 6, the 6S, the 7, the 7S, and now we have the 8. So yeah, I'm actually 5 behind.
iPhone 8 and then the iPhone X because they skipped 9.
Yeah, but that's at the same time. So I consider those the same generation year, at least.
Okay.
Same iOS and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go, folks. Every now and then, a hard restart.
Hard restart is the way of fixing anything in IT, basically. Why do you think whenever you call up the Indian call centers, they say, have you restarted the device again, sir?
Right. Oh, my God.
Every single time. Every single time.
Have you tried shutting off the computer and waiting 15 seconds? Yes.
Yes, that was the first thing I did. And then the next 10 things that they ask you to do, you've also done because this is not your first rodeo.
Here's my favorite, because they're going to ask those questions. You've already gone through the basic troubleshooting. So they go, have you? I go, here's what I've done. This is what I've done this in the past. I go, here's what I've done. I have unplugged, waited 15 seconds, replugged. I've done this kind of hard start. I've done, X, Y, and Z. I run through all the basic, checkpoints. They go. And the person goes, okay, well, let's run through my troubleshooting.
Have you restarted?
Okay, first, well, I want you to restart. You're like, didn't I just say these things? But then I realized, oh, I'm sorry. I blasted through their little script that they have to hit enter on, and they can't get to the next section until
without doing it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Have you restarted your computer? Yes. Next question: Have you held your tongue in the right position in your mouth when repowering on your laptop or computer? Yes, done that.
when it's something like your internet is down, and you make the phone call to the people, and they go, well, you can always just go to this website. No, I can't.
Because my internet is not working. Yeah.
I had the exact same thing when I was having problems with my phone, and I was doing everything. It was my landline at the time. I don't have a landline anymore, but it was my landline phone that was the problem. And so I was calling in on my cell phone, and they were like, okay, well, we can't do anything unless we talk to you on your landline. I'm like, but that's the problem. It's not functioning.
That's right. You don't seem to understand the problem and the reason why I'm calling. Yeah, anyhow. So what has been happening since we last spoke in Pinball Land?
In Pinball Land, not a whole lot. I'm sure people have been able to mess around with Spanish Eyes and Wildcard. Somebody responded to our podcast thread on Pinball Arcade Fans that the visuals that I was complaining about last week, they hadn't really noticed.
And but they have now.
It wasn't bothering them, and that's just it. I was like, you have now, though, huh? They're like, yes.
Can't unsee it. Triggering intensifies. Cannot unsee it.
It's just one of those things. Like I said, it's. I can't not see Julie Roberts' forehead vein anymore, and you can't watch Star Wars and not spot the stormtrooper bashing his head into the door jamb. It's just one of those things that once you see it, you'll forever look for it. It's impossible. And so, that's, I feel like I've done my part, because the more people I can get complaining about it, the better.
Basically, isn't it pretty much like the ring phenomenon? You have to show some of the video so you don't get killed. So essentially it's the same thing.
What's the chain ladder?
Yeah, it's totally that. Yeah, you got to send it on, otherwise you're going to lose your family. So yes, you need to share the pain, not the love.
So there's
the pain.
So there's that going on. In Zenland, we have our weekly BlahCade tournament going on, and I would give you scores for this week. We were playing Rome. But unfortunately, I didn't time the start of it properly, and it's ending while we're doing our podcast. So if you really want to know how you placed, why don't you head over to Pinball Arcade Fans, the forum there, and search under tournaments, and there you will find a header right at the top about Zen Weekly BlahCade Tournament, and you can find out what's going on there. I can safely say right now that I did not come in first. I never held first. And I am firmly planted in third place right now. I made the wise choice of making this a one-ball game.
Yes.
Because Rome, you can kind of go for a very long time on.
Right. I don't think I've ever played Rome. I don't know if I can get Rome on Android. Maybe I can. I just haven't purchased it yet.
You should be able to.
I've heard that
it's Rome, Pasha, Biolab, and I don't think it's Mars. No, it's got to be something else. They all came in a pack.
Oh, yes, I can get those. And I think I've been strongly advised not to by certain individuals. So don't worry, just leave that.
Here's the funny thing. I would rather play that pack of tables than play the pack that was V12.
That was Alien Invasion or whatever it's called.
No. It wasn't that. It was V12, Tesla, Shaman, and Eldorado. That was the four pack.
I can't understand that Shaman.
No, it's a mess.
It's gross. Yeah.
So I would much rather play those. And the funny thing with Rome is, once you figure it out, it's not a very deep table at all.
No.
And it's kind of a lot of repetition.
Is it a bit like a sort of like a Williams System 11, where you just do the short little things, then light multi-ball, then do multi-ball, then rinse, repeat?
Kind of. The modes are not. I mean, basically everything is mapped around 2 ramps, 2 orbits, and a sinkhole. 2 sinkholes and a 5-target drop, 5 in a row drop target thing. Everything functions around those. And the table looks really cluttered, but once you kind of figure out where all your shots are going to go, you might say that the table suddenly expands for you and it's not so cluttered anymore. The problem is some of the shots are, the window for hitting them is very narrow.
Right.
And that can be kind of frustrating and stuff. But I wound up, the top score when I checked today was 67 million, and then like 61 million, and I was at 41 million. And the low scores were all in the like 2s and 3 millions. So you can kind of tell those are the people that hadn't quite figured it out. There's like a significant jump between people that figured the table out and people that still haven't figured the table out. Because once you learn how to start the mode, or more importantly, how to start multi-ball, that's when you can get your score going. If you can't figure out how to start multi-ball, you're going to be, it's a grind fest otherwise.
Right. You're just flipping random stuff and not getting anywhere.
Pretty much. And it has this mean habit of once a mode is started, everything else is locked out. So the only way to score is to finish the mode, which is, I find, always really annoying. It's like, come on, give me some scores while we're going here.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what the final scores are, but at least you know you're not a contender this week.
I'm not a contender. I'm in the top 5, but I'm not a contender. We had a lot of people play this time, though, too.
Oh, yeah?
There was 23 players, and that was before it was up on Zen's board, you might say.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, no, we had quite a few players this time. I think this coming week, due to the fact that Star Wars Last Jedi is going to be coming out in 2 weeks, I think we're going to have to play a Star Wars table or two.
Right.
So I'll dig and figure out which ones we want to bang around with.
Good idea.
It's not going to be Darth Vader.
No.
It's not going to be that god-awful, what is it, Powers of the Force? Or
First Order game. No.
First Order? No, what's the one that was the Emperor versus Luke?
Oh, yeah, that was horrible. With that weird sort of cube thing that you have to shoot and it doesn't...
God, that thing was just annoying beyond belief.
Gross. that game is gross. Leave it alone.
No, it'll probably be more something of the, maybe we'll pick Return of the Jedi or something like that. Something simplistic.
Something that just has nice flow and the cool things that pop up in the middle of the playfield that you got to shoot. Those are always fun. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I actually have some tournament news to share.
Oh, okay.
So we did the latest Netherworld tournament last week, and normally I wouldn't really discuss the tournament because if you want to find out, you just follow me on Twitter and you see the results. But this week was a little bit interesting because I could have actually gotten to the tournament, but I didn't. And the reason being is that, well, let me share this story. So we started playing in the tournament. We had a fairly decent selection of tables, which I won't elaborate on. They're good tables. One of them was Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I'm not a big fan of anyhow. So what happened is during the course of the night, the flippers started to play up on that table. And it was playing up enough that we had to remove it from the competition. So, I'd been playing okay. During the night, I've had some pretty decent scores on a lot of the tables. But of course, being Creature from the Black Lagoon, I hate that game and I can never get a decent score on it.
Never at a
Never. It's just, it does me in every single time. So my score on that was, I think, about 30 million, which for me on Creature from the Black Lagoon is perfectly respectable. So I was happy about the score, but I knew it wasn't going to contribute anything to my standings in the competition. So when I checked, it was a big turnout for the tournament. I think we had about 70 people turn up for the tournament.
Wow.
Which is huge. It's the biggest turnout that we've actually had ever for the Brisbane Pinball Club. It was a final one for the year, so everyone was there. And geez, I tell you what, it was packed. Anyhow, so this one got pulled out, and at the time, I thought that they'd done the adjustment when I was looking at the standings, and I was about 18th, which is fair enough because of the score with Creature. And I think also there was a bit of lag with people entering the scores. I was one of them. I was going around all night entering scores because there were so many people into match play. So I thought, 18, there's a pretty good chance that I'm not going to get anywhere near the top 8 with that score. So if I asked, is Creature taken out of the tournament now? They go, oh, yeah, it's out. It's no longer being done. I go, oh, okay, well, it was about 9:30 at night. I went, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to hang around. I could hang around and play a bit more free pinball, but I thought, no, I'm done. I'll just go home. So I go home and wake up the next morning, and they posted the results. And lo and behold, here's my name in the top 8. And I go, what? What happened? And I was tied in 8th, a 3-way tie. And I was going, what happened here? Like, why am I in the top 8? I was 18th. How did I get from 18 to 8? How did I jump 10 places to get into the top 8? He goes, oh, yeah, we removed Creature from the Black Lagoon and validated the scores. I said, yeah, but I checked that before I left. And he goes, oh, it mustn't have actually, your screen mustn't have refreshed or something when you're looking at the scores. And I went, oh, so I could have been in the top 8 and played off for the final. I went, well, shit, because I don't actually get into the final that often.
Right.
And I was going, well, that's a bit crap, isn't it? So that was disappointing.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. But, you know, I guess I still got top 8, which was good. I didn't even have to essentially try or do anything to get into the top 8. But it would have been nice for me to actually play on, because I reckon I could have done all right that night. They had some new additions to the 4. They upgraded their Ghostbusters Pro to a premium. And I've got to say, totally different game. Like, the addition of all the extra cool stuff on that game, just like the Pro is invalid, basically. I don't even know why they bothered releasing it in that form. Like, it's just terrible. They also had a new Star Wars there, a Star Wars Premium with the Hyperloop.
Okay.
And I had a game on that. I had to like try and get on the game just playing a 3-player game with these 2 dudes who clearly knew what they were doing. And I just couldn't get a feel for it. I had a really poor first impression of the game. I thought, oh, this is crap. Like, all it is just look at the multiplier and, you know, have to shift the multiplier around to get the big scores. And it just didn't feel good. It wasn't flowing. And I was going, nah, this is crap. So anyhow, after those 2 buggered off and I could actually get some one-on-one time at the table, I kind of understood it. And I had a really good game. I got like about 3 billion or something on it, which with multipliers is perfectly achievable. In fact, it's a low score on Star Wars if you can actually play multipliers. But I didn't bother changing the multiplier lane or anything like that. I just, basically, this is my strategy for that game. Shoot all the green shots, which are your multiplier increasing targets, and then shoot anything else that's flashing. And there you go. You get a 3 billion score. And just shoot everything. Eventually you get multi-balls. So you just keep on shooting your shots and you'll get multi-balls randomly award. I'm sure you could target them. I think it's shoot each shot 3 times and it like lights a multi-ball or something like that. And I think you can select characters and stuff at the beginning of the game that alter what multi-balls you get and stuff. And I couldn't really care, honestly. Like, once you actually get into it and you start flipping it, it actually flows okay for a game. And the Hyperloop is fun when you get it. I was just going, oh, look, the getaway when I was playing it, basically, because it's exactly that. The Hyperloop is basically the accelerator magnet group is enclosed in this really ugly assembly at the back of the playfield. It's covered up with this plastic shield, basically, to make it look half decent. It looks really ugly. It doesn't look nearly as attractive as the Supercharged did on the Getaway, which actually looked like a thing. But this just looks like, oh yeah, this mechanism is being covered up by a bit of plastic because it's ugly. We don't want you to see it. But you know, overall, fun game to play once you get into it. Just have some one-on-one time with it, and you'll be fine. So yes, unfortunately, no luck for me last week, but there is a little side tournament happening on the 12th, which I will be going into. It's not an official Brisbane Pinball Club tournament. It's just a little holiday season tournament that they're running. They're splitting it between the new pinball venue in town called Pincadia and Netherworld. So it's going to be like an on-off sort of tournament each week. You know, I've really been very slack, Chris. I still haven't been to Pincadia. And it's right in the city, like it's sort of just outside the city, so I'm very slack. But I think I found out a reason why I should go to that venue, and the reason is they got an Attack from Mars remake there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard about the remakes, but they've got one of the interesting things about them is that they've actually got this new DMD in them that's like really big, not as big as the Sega DMDs. Not as tall, but wider. So almost like a widescreen version of the DMD. that you see in games now. And apparently, part of the deal with the Attack from Mars remakes, and I found out all this information from the Head to Head Pinball podcast, which is a new Australian podcast all about pinball, because they did a big thing about it recently. So apparently, the way they've done the dot matrix animations is they've completely redone them for the game. So they've made them high definition, basically. And they are pretty cool, apparently. So I want to go and play AFM remake and see just what it's like, because I reckon it's going to be cool.
It's interesting that they went through that extra effort when Color and DMD has already, done their version of the game.
It's apparently, it's interesting. I was thinking of that as well. Like, that they've already got a version. Why didn't they just partner with Color DMD, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that it makes the Color DMD version look amateurish in comparison, which is saying something, because the Color DMD version is pretty amazing when you see it.
Well, but if you're doing, are they doing the same dots, or it's now smaller resolution dots so they can do? That's why when you're saying high definition,
they're using the same animations, but they've done something to them to make them super crisp. So essentially, they would have taken the original, like in the Color DMD version of Attack from Mars, you'll see that the woman kind of looks like a woman, but sort of doesn't really. Well, apparently in the Attack from Mars version, it's like the woman actually looks like a woman and is fully crisp and animated really well and everything. So
okay, so they probably have it's probably they have more dots to be working with then.
Yes, they probably increase the dots by maybe double the amount, or maybe triple.
Right, which would then allow them to put actual detail.
Yes, that's right. Which is going to look pretty cool. So I've got to go and check that out. And,
for all the people standing around, not the person playing.
Yeah, because Attack from Mars is not one of the ones you look at the DMD very much, except when it goes up into the pop bumpers and plays around up there. So yeah, it's going to be fun to play. A brand new, basically, Attack from Mars. So yeah, very cool.
So I got a Facebook notification about there's it's a video game store near me, next town over. And I was unaware of this, but apparently they now have a pinball room.
Oh, okay.
And by the pictures, it's dark and it's got cool mood lighting, and they've got a bunch of pinball machines in there. And the reason why I was getting a Facebook notification was they just got in the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
So I might have to go take a trip down there and check that out.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should make a promise to each other that we do a site visit sometime this week, if we can.
So that we have something to talk about next week with real pinball. All right.
With actual real pinball, that we should do it. I will have to go, probably during my lunch hour or something. And
I can agree to that. Yeah, because I'm still not able to, tomorrow is another one of the Orange County Pinball League's meetings. Right. And today I went and hung Christmas lights outside the house.
Yes.
And which was all of about maybe an hour. And the way I'm hanging them is with a pole, so I'm not having to climb ladders or anything, because I can't do that right now with my knee.
So you've got a pre-existing set of hooks up in your house that you just load?
No, I've got these cool little clips that hook onto the eaves. They're plastic. They screw into the bottom of a pole. You push them up into the eave, and then you unscrew them off the bottom of the pole, and boom, it's hung. So you don't have to use a ladder at all.
Oh, that's so good.
It's the best product for Christmas lights I've ever seen. I've used it for years and years and years. It's really wonderful. But after doing that and spending some time outside for an hour, I came inside and my knee was just completely throbbing when I tried to bend it. And I realized, standing straight up with your knees locked, I need that sit down time. So I still can't do, standing around and playing pinball for 4 hours. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, it would be good to actually, I've always been complaining that there's no place local to play pinball either. So if there actually is a legitimate place, I'm going to need to go check that out.
Check that out. So when you're saying in the next town, what does that equate to for people who aren't in the US? Like, what sort of drive distance is that?
Oh, it's where this location is, it's going to be a 10-minute drive.
Oh, wow. That's great.
10 to 15-minute drive. That's it.
That's wicked. Jeez. No excuses at all. Hop in the car now. What are you doing here? Go play that thing. Yeah, totally. I'd do it. That's great. So, awesome.
Well, hold on while my wife chimes in. What was that about a place you told me about? Well, it is in Fullerton. What place are you talking about? I might be in trouble. Well, my wife apparently had pointed this out and said you should go visit, or is this place? And I never went.
Oh.
She's all, I guess I should have sent you an email.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Getting things done, man, style. If it's not documented somewhere, it's not getting done. That's how it is.
So here's a question for you. Do you still listen to terrestrial radio?
Yes, in the car.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much when we do it. Yeah.
One of those things where it kind of you're reminded of why terrestrial radio is dying. So there is the local station I listen to is KROQ. They say they're world famous because at one time they were actually very influential on what was cool to play for alternative music. Since then, they've been bought and copied all across the country, and they no longer have the influence per se. But I've listened to them since I was, 12,
right,
12 or 13. And, back in the day, it was what I loved about radio was you'd have your DJ and they would play, although the music would still be in line with the station, but they would be able to play their own thing. You know what I mean? And so there are certain DJs that I would not want to listen to because I was like, oh, they always pick, this style of music that I'm not really fond of, for what would be defined of the alternative genre. Whereas this other DJ I really, really like, you might be the difference between somebody that was playing a lot of grunge, and the next DJ would play more of the electronic based alternative, and I was always more drawn to the electronic, kind of thing. So anyway, but as the years progressed, that obviously the thinking is, well, we don't want people turning off based off of a DJ, and we want to get X amount of plays of this song X amount of times, and stuff like that. And so basically the DJ is nothing more than a babysitter pushing a button and reading the playlist that's been assigned to them, not actually making their own playlist. Well, part of that too, though, is then the morning shows. And we here on this station, we've had a morning show that's been going on for almost 30 years.
Wow.
Which is frightening to think about. I mean, it's 25 plus years. From this morning show, if you're familiar with who Adam Carolla is, he used to be on them. Jimmy Kimmel, he came from them.
Wow. Okay.
They've actually have a nose for talent, and people have gone on to great success from being, just bit players on their show. Well, the person that they've had on for the past 18 years in this capacity, his name is Ralph Garman. Now, if you are familiar with Kevin Smith, the filmmaker, he does multiple podcasts, but one of them that they do is called Hollywood Babylon, and it's a live show that they record at usually improvs, and they just dish for an hour and a half on pop culture and what's going on in entertainment world and stuff like that. And Ralph is his partner on that. But he does the daily show with for Kevin and Bean. And on Thursday comes on the radio and is like, this is my last day. I've been given the boot.
Oh.
After 18 years. And what it was, turns out, is that it's the radio station used to be owned by a company called CBS. They got bought out or sold to another company called Encom. And Encom basically looked at the books and said, this person costs too much. Boom, fired.
Okay.
Let's get rid of them. You know, as new companies are wont to do, right? They want to come in and make their imprint. The scary thing is clearly they've never listened to this show because this is the guy responsible for writing all of the comedy.
Oh, whoops.
Whoops.
They've just fired their head writer. Great job.
Yeah. He also does tons of voices. Because the two main guys, Kevin and Bean, they don't do any voices at all. They always are the straight man to this guy's characters. So, oops, again. It's man. They and everybody's just kind of going, that sounds like the end of their show in general, because their ratings are probably going to drop off. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, but they also survived the exits of these other two exceedingly talented people. So who knows what happens, but it is just one of those things where, man, right before Christmas.
That's rough, man.
Just like, boom, hammer drops.
See you bye. He would have got a pretty nice handshake, I think.
Well, what was interesting was they actually let him on the air for his final day. Usually in radio, once they fire you, you're gone because they're afraid that you're going to say something on the air.
Totally. Yeah.
And I don't know how it came about that they were allowed to let him do his final bits for the day. The poor guy was in tears every single time he tried to do one, but
really?
It was kind of sucky. But yeah. So it should be interesting because I'm very interested now to hear, because this weekend he's doing another one of these podcasts with Kevin. At which point I'm sure he'll be able to unleash and just say exactly what went on. Because on the air, all they would say was that I'm moving on. Even though it wasn't his choice, that was all he was allowed to say.
Yes, I'm moving on.
It should be very interesting to see, but it's just, God, man, terrestrial radio just sucks.
Yeah, it really does.
Amazing how mean they can be.
Yeah. And terrestrial radio over here, we have probably very similar to how it is in the US, but really there's a couple of companies that own most of the radio stations in Australia. And the type of really the big commercial stations, there's one called Triple M, there's another one called B105. And those two are basically owned by the same company, but they cater for a different audience.
Mm-hmm.
But they are just basically, I don't know if it's like this on terrestrial radio over there, but it's basically a programming loop of music. Like you can come back 4 hours later. You can come back 4 hours later and
one
the same
song,
loop.
Exactly what song is going to come after it?
Pretty much. You go, look, I've heard that song. I've heard this song 4 hours ago. Oh, look, I've heard that song 4 hours ago. They might be shuffled. So they basically go, every 4 hours, we shuffle the playlist and start new again. Because obviously they don't expect people to be listening to it all day. They expect people just to be tuning in, maybe on their drive, and then tuning in on the way home. And
but clearly, if you're in an office that has it on the station,
terrible. But there's one station, which is 97.3, which is sort of the other two stations, Triple M and B105, they usually play a lot of the top 40 hits basically, and a few 90s and maybe a couple of 80s hits to satisfy the old office workers. But 97.3 is pretty much generational. It'll go between like 80s, 90s, noughties, and today. So it's got like a 40-year gamut of music they play. And again, they do stuff for a little bit from the 4-hour loop, but at least sometimes they introduce some new songs into it. And it's really depressing. But then you go on to something like Triple J. Now, Triple J sounds like the station that you're talking about, alternative station. And it's actually run by the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation here, which is it's a subsidiary of that. And it's basically youth radio and sort of counterculture radio. And most people who actually enjoy listening to radio will listen to Triple J, because at least they hear some different music that's not mainstream pop, and it's nice to actually hear that. And a lot of Australian content on that show too. So a lot of Australian artists get featured and all that sort of thing. So I think really though, radio shows these days, they're getting overtaken by podcasts, because you can go and download any number of really great music podcasts. Like, for example, if you are interested in dance music, you can download Chicane's podcast. He was a famous dance artist with a lot of big hits in the 90s. And he does a radio show that, well, not a radio show, it's a podcast that's about an hour. It's called Sunsets. And the amount of new music I've discovered through that show is more than I'd ever discover on radio. Like, it's so much better quality. And I'm sure it's the same for you over there. Like, you have all sorts of different podcast content with great information on it for you.
Yeah, I'm still not a podcast listener for the most part. And part of that is just because I don't like having to think about downloading or everything. It's just like, usually when I hop in my car, I'm either listening to the radio or I'm like listening to my iPod, which is my own podcast, if you will. I prefer my own playlists. And in terms of new music, it's really hard for me to glom on to new music these days, just because I'm old. But K-Rock back in the 80s, they used to be like, and obviously the record industry has completely changed from then versus now. I mean, now albums are not a thing at all. It's all streaming, Pandora style. That's where it gets released and everything. But no, they would, a song would come out and they'd play it a couple of times and they would go, wait a second, the B-side, remember those folks, B-sides?
Yes.
They're like, the B-side, we like that better. And they would instead play the B-side. And they would be, and that's why I'm saying in terms of they'd be influential to other stations, because they would be like, screw what you thought was the good song. That's not the single. This is the way better song. And then they'd play that. And that
would actually force the artist to actually then release that as a single, sort of thing.
Well, and literally that happened with Depeche Mode. Used to be, I mean, they were a major staple on the station, and they would come in all the time. And they came in one time and they were like, hey, we've got this new song that we're working on. And it was Personal Jesus, but they played it acoustic. And it sounded fantastic acoustic. And K-Rock just ripped that and played that for months until the actual real song came out.
Right.
And then it was eventually Depeche Mode asked for that copy of the song and put it out on a single. Yes.
So they basically got
Morrissey,
the live performance version, and they released that themselves, saying, we actually like this ourselves better, so let's have that.
Yes. Morrissey, same thing happened with him, where he did a song for them, and everybody really liked it, and they played the crap out of it, and it got released in single form, titled Morrissey Live at K-Rock.
Wow.
Like, I mean, so that's why when they say world famous, it actually, at least in terms of England, knew who the heck the station was, because a lot of English artists were the ones getting this treatment. More recently, Foo Fighters had done an acoustic of Everlong that you've probably heard. That was recorded at the station.
Wow, okay. So I see that these guys really did play a part in a lot of musicians' careers.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of bands who, if you talk to anybody, they were like, oh, they're a one-hit wonder. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I can name 5 songs from them that were huge hits. Well, they were huge hits here in LA. They were never played anywhere else.
Yes.
So, so that's you missed that. There's Steve Jones, who was he the bass player for the Sex Pistols or just a regular guitarist for the Sex Pistols? I can't remember. Anyway, he's got a show called Jonesy's Jukebox that used to be on some independent station. They went away, became Musica, and he's now on the classic rock station. But the funny thing is during his hour, he's not beholden to play classic rock. He just plays whatever the heck he wants to play.
Nice.
And that's the kind of DJ that I miss. It's that kind of, I'll keep it somewhat for the audience that normally tunes into the station, but
I'll throw
you're tuning in for me. Yeah.
I'll throw you some curveballs and open your mind a little bit. Yeah, I like that.
Exactly. So
that's good.
I don't know. I miss that.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've missed this week about stuff. I don't think so.
I could go off on a rant about movie I watched called Hitman's Bodyguard, but I'll just spare everybody that.
I think, yeah, if you want to see that, subscribe to Chris's Facebook feed, and you'll see it. And you can enjoy it. You can enjoy it there. Yeah,
it's one of those things, folks, where now and then I just kind of get a little tweaked over certain things that I see in movies. But yeah, I'm not going to bother spreading that bile here. Suffice to say, don't watch the movie.
Don't watch the movie. So it's the Ladbrokes Christmas party tonight. So that'll be happening on a Sunday night. They're having it. So I don't know what that means, whether they're expecting people or people calling sick tomorrow.
They're going to give you the 2 drink tickets.
2 drink tickets and a meal voucher.
Yeah.
No, that's not really how Ladbrokes works. No. So it'll be probably, we're going to this place in the valley, which is conveniently where Netherworld is also located. So there might be some either pre-pinball action or some post-drunk pinball action being done by me. Or maybe not. I might just wander home. So that'll be interesting. So that'll just be a fun night. But I could almost do my little Pincadia visit before if I left early enough, but I think I'd be like out of time. It's far enough away that I wouldn't be able to do both and stay there for a long time, which I probably want to do at Pincadia. I think I'd like to spend a bit of time there.
Well, that's going to be our goal then. You go there, I'm going to go to this other place, and we'll report back.
We'll compare notes. Yeah, totally. Exactly. Take some pictures, put them up on the Twitters.
Putting them up on the Twitters, and if you want to see those pics, folks, you know what to do. You need to subscribe to our Twitter feed. The show is at BlahCade. Jared is at Jared Morgs. Myself, I am at Shut Your Traps. Why don't you go ahead and check out the website for our show, which is BlahCadePinball.com. There you can find past releases of all of our episodes, as well as show notes and websites that we happen to mention, if we mention them. And, oh, hey, you know what you can also do? You can drop us an email. If there's anything you'd like to discuss with us, comment on notes or suggestions, do so. BlahCade@gmail.com. I'll give you one final thing to think about here. You know how I like the gadgets.
Yes.
Or the finger puzzle kind of things. Well, for my 2 nieces' birthday, which was just passed, my wife always likes to, doesn't want to just hand them the money. She wants to make them work for it a little bit. And so this year we bought off of Amazon these puzzle maze boxes. So it's a clear cube that's got a maze on, 5 of the sides, basically, a ball maze. And you got to move the ball into your a latch, and the latches. Oh my God, it was so much fun watching them trying to get at it. They were at it for a good 10 minutes, and just the thought of bringing out a hammer just kept on growing and growing and growing.
It's like one of those worst video game puzzles that you could ever have.
Oh yeah, and so once they got it open, they were just like, "I'm never closing that again." And then all of a sudden, the light bulb goes off. They're like, I know who I can give this to. and then it was, I could put some of these keys in here. Just like, yes. Oh man, yes. Torture. So
good.
Yes. So that was a good bit of fun. Well worth the $8 that we spent on Amazon.
Oh, that's super value. Yeah, totally. That's cool. So, that's a good present to give.
If you're going to give the person cash anyway, at least make them work for it.
So the cash was inside, so they have to unlock the toy to get the cash.
Yeah. What was funny was that it's my nieces, it's my sister, her kids. Anyway, so she was giving my son his birthday present. What they gave him was a whole bouquet of balloons, but he had to pop every single balloon because there was money inside of each.
Oh, so really not a good present for someone with a popping balloon phobia.
No, that would be bad. Really what was fun was he'd pop the balloon and the money, the pressure from the air and everything, the money would go flying across the room.
So good. So not only did you get exercise, but you got money as well. So that's great.
Yeah, and then you had to clean.
Oh yeah, true. Hey, I've got one more thing to add as well. Is being that Christmas is the season of giving. If you like the show, how about you consider giving a small donation to us over this Christmas period? You can do that going paypal.me/ I think it's Shut Your Traps, isn't it? For donations. Yeah. So go and if you like the show, if you've enjoyed it during the year, throw us a little Chrissy present, and we'll put your kind donation towards things like domain renewals and downloads and stuff like that we can use to keep the show running. So, yes, thank you for listening throughout the year. And yeah, if you like it, throw us a couple of bucks. We'd really appreciate it.
I thought you were going to say if you if you like the show and want to donate something, Jared still has space for a pinball machine.
Well, I did actually tweet out that the other day that yes, I do have highly sought after, very limited space still available in North Lakes for storage, yet to be filled by anyone. So places are strictly limited. So do indeed contact me at your earliest convenience, and we'll sort out the safe places. Rent-free, safe place. The inmates are pretty reasonable here, so there won't be any problems with that. And yes, your pinball machine will be safely stored, and you can free up some room in your house for Christmas time, of course, because sometimes it gets a bit full in your house, so you need a bit of extra room. So offload a couple of machines to me, and I'll keep it safe for you.
There you go. All right, gang. We will be back next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.